Hello and welcome. My name is Nadia Strachan and I am your design consultant. Thank you for choosing to have a interior design download today. Now, you have chosen to go with the colonial inspired hallway. There's the colonial inspired hallway. It's particularly one of my favourites. I do have a number of favourites, I must admit, but this is particularly one of my favourites. As you can see from my hallway, not unlike the hallway that you have chosen, I too have a little penchant for colonial inspired interiors. Mine have more of a bit of a modern twist to them, but I do have a penchant for that. So you can see this beautiful hallway. This is this picture that I think inspired you to go for this particular consultation today. It's going to be fantastic. As you can see, that's my hallway there. And you can see that my floor also is a checkerboard hallway, which is colonial inspired. And also I have on the walls, as well as in the hallway, also in my living room as well, on my accent wall there, I have colonial inspired pieces. So I have a toile de jour, which is a French colonial inspired wallpaper. On my walls and on my floor, I have the checkerboard style flooring throughout most of my sort of wet areas, you know, the hallway, the bathroom, etc. So let's get straight into it. So this wonderful interior. Now, first thing I need to explain to you is that your design consultation will be split into 4 sections. That's 4 sections, okay? And the first section is this section, which is me explaining to you exactly what your consultation will entail and a little bit about the style as well, for you to get a clear understanding of what to expect. The second part we'll be looking at the pictures and just them analysing them with the photo analysis as well. Then the next part would be another video, and that will go into detail about the actual products and the manufacturers of the products and where you can actually get all of these products from in order to create this and how you go about it. And also there will be an actual spreadsheet as well. That's the last part, the actual spreadsheet. The spreadsheet is what I call the working mood board. Now, the first thing I would require you to do with your consultation is print it out. Print it out. I know that you have your iPhone or your phone or your laptop or your computer, whichever device you have, and you have your consultation downloaded onto that. Please print it out in hard copy as well. The reason I say print it out in hard copy, it's so that you can make notes. Can you see I've done on this particular one, I've made notes. You can make notes on it. It's very important for you to print it out. And also, as you know, your iPhone, phone, laptop, whatever, can run out of charge at the most inopportune time, and we don't want that to happen. So at least you've got the hard copy. You can keep it in your bag, you can keep it in your home, at your office, wherever you want to keep it. But you've got that hard copy, you've got the consultation, and it's all printed out. So print out every piece of it. And obviously the videos are going to have to be in this format. So once you've done that, okay, you've printed off the 4 sections. Next thing I'm going to explain to you is these consultations are split into bronze, silver and gold schemes. Bronze, silver and gold. This particular consultation that you have opted for is actually what I would call a, I think yours is a silver scheme. It's a silver scheme. Oh, no, it's a gold scheme. Sorry, yours is a higher ticket on this one. This particular one is it's a hallway, but it's actually a gold scheme hallway, and you'll see why in a moment. So this gold scheme hallway, you get the costings for that, and the prices are starting prices for that. Sometimes you might be able to get them for less than that price. That's wonderful, but it's a starting price for your gold scheme. Now, I've put them in, there's a full DIY, and full DIY means that you purchase everything yourself and you install everything yourself. That's absolutely everything. Some people are able to do that. They're very competent at putting together whole schemes, whole, room sets, the whole thing. So if you have those skills, wonderful. I know YouTube is fantastic today. You can learn to do an awful lot of things. I would say, when it comes to the full DIY, if you do not have the skills for electrics or plumbing, depending on what your room is, please employ a tradesman to do that one part at least. Please employ a tradesman to do it. If you know somebody to do it, fantastic. Then you can go the full DIY route. Obviously, it takes longer. If you do the full DIY, it will take you longer. So just to be aware of that and to factor that in to your actual transformation. So there's the full DIY. There is also the DIY and trade, which is whereby, like I said before, you can do everything yourself, from the painting, the laying of floors, stripping down, the whole thing yourself. The half and half, whereby you purchase again, and there are certain things that you can do yourself. You can do the decorating yourself, but there are certain aspects, like I said, the tradesman aspects that you bring in that can complete your scheme. So there is and this goes in different variants. So it might be 50-50, or it might be 60-40 in favour of yourself, or maybe only 20% trade and majority you. So it's up to you what percentage of trade you use for the DIY and trade. Then there's the full trade route, whereby you can simply hand over this consultation to them, because you will have absolutely everything written down, where to get it from, everything. You can hand it over to somebody and say, I want that. And they can produce that. They can produce that because everything is there. Everything is there. So that's the first thing I would need you to do. Please print everything out so you've got everything so that we can start working. Once you've printed everything out, then the next thing you would do is to start ordering all your samples. Now, I'll go into details about that in the next video, but ordering your samples is a very important part. So for this video, I'm going to assume that you're going to go the sort of 50-50, or part DIY, part trade, because there usually are a lot of things that you can actually do yourself. And let's face it, you probably will buy or purchase all the items yourself. The first thing you need to do is to make sure that you are happy with the products. So once you've ordered all your products, you've got to make sure that they're the quality that you actually want to go for. Now, I have put these design consultations in the form of lifestyle scenarios. So it doesn't mean that you have to fall into this lifestyle category. It's just to give it context, so that you could see it sort of in real time, really, how it would sort of work out for somebody in real time. So that's why I put them in lifestyle scenarios. So this lifestyle scenario is, this is a family. They're called the Dubois family, and they are actually from Martinique. And so here's a lovely picture of the Dubois family, very happy family, having a nice family meal. They're the Dubois family, and they are in what I would call the higher income bracket. They're part of the higher income bracket. So their interiors are generally the gold standard interiors, and so generally their bracket, everything, their lifestyle revolves more around that, the gold standard. Now, you don't have to be in the gold standard bracket to order to do this consultation, just for you to be aware. If you just love the look of that interior and you think, oh yes, that's definite, that would work beautifully for my home, and you don't live in, as they have, a 10-bedroom villa. You don't have a 10-bed, let's face it, not many of us do have a 10-bedroom villa. If you have a 3-bedroom home, a terraced house, or a smaller condo, it will still work. You just pare it down in order to suit your home. You just pare the proportions down, that's all, just pare it down. If you have a medium size, then you pare it down by a smaller amount. Or if you have a 10-bed, then you leave it as it is, or if you have something even larger, then you can go even bigger. It's entirely up to you how you interpret this to suit your home, to work for you. Now, then the next thing to say, now they have, this family has 3 properties. This is their second property. It's not their main residence. This is their holiday home in Martinique. They're actually from Martinique, and they go there every holiday time with their children. They go to Martinique and they enjoy their beautiful 10-bed villa. It is fully staffed, as you can imagine. So I would say, if you're thinking this would work well for your holiday home, fantastic. It's good to have staff. If you're going to have staff to safeguard your home, then I would always say, think about renting out that villa, because the staff are already there, and so they can take care of them. So make your villa work for you. So I would say definitely rent out your villa. So as I say, this beautiful hallway you can see now, the colonial style. Generally, we have this checkerboard flooring is very reminiscent of the colonial style. So it's a checkerboard flooring. This is a highly polished, either porcelain or ceramic tile. Highly polished porcelain or ceramic style. Now the colonial style. Obviously, they didn't have electric lights back then. That light fitted that beautiful pendant lantern, that would have actually been real candles in the colonial times. Obviously, it's an electric light now today, and there's many different varieties of that, at such reasonable prices as well. So beautiful lighting. Now the colonial style, it has a lot of sort of choice pieces. You don't, it's associated with the Georgian period, and it's not a packed sort of interior like the Victorians. The Victorians had lots of furniture and more darker sort of schemes, more sort of atmospheric and darker, and lots of furniture. But with the colonial style, it's a lot more light. The windows were brighter and more light came in. So it's a lots of sort of brighter, lighter schemes, larger windows, so you can see from here, larger proportion, lots of light streaming in. So they really did value that sort of light, sort of airy spaces. But as you can see here with this beautiful sort of a Louis XVI sort of little chair there in the hallway there. There were select pieces, and I've got this beautiful sort of mini Steinway piano there as well. So there are lots of pieces like that you can get. There's nothing to say you can't get a piano. You can get a piano if you wish. There are beautiful second-hand shops. Second-hand shops sell pianos. Old pianos, and you can just renovate them yourself if you wish, or get someone to come in and to get them sprayed. or you can touch them up yourself and get them, you know, looking absolutely amazing. So you can achieve this look. Absolutely, you can achieve this look. It doesn't have to be a brand new Steinway piano. And by the way, a brand new Steinway piano is not as expensive as you think. People think, oh God, that's going to cost me tens of thousands of pounds. No, it will not. It'll cost you less than £10,000, quite considerably less actually, especially for a baby grand. It'll be half of that, so more around, you know, maybe the £5,000 mark or something like that. But if you buy it second hand, you can get this for a few £100s in some cases. So it's very, very doable to produce this scheme. And that's something that you may want to think about. In the foreground here, we have a Lalique table. Now it's a beautiful piece. It's definitely a choice piece and a high ticket piece as well. But there's nothing to say you can't get a glass version of that, just a glass console table. That's very doable. It doesn't have to be completely a Lalique table. It could be a glass table with an ornate base or a wooden base, just with a glass top, just to have more light bouncing around. That works really well with that sort of feel and look to it. And lots of light, lots of white walls, and they really highlight the checkerboard flooring. If you look at the staircase here, this beautiful ornate balustrade. If you have your existing balustrade, just to get it changed out into this. Now it might be something that you decide to do yourself, or you can get the trade in to do it for you. Personally, I would get trade in to do it for you. You can choose the balustrade. This company, like all companies, they all have sales. That's when the sales are. If you want to go the sale route to save money, money saved in one area can be used in another area, or just saved full stop. So I always say, you know, shop smart to get the best and the maximum impact for your money. Works every time. So with the colonial period, remember it's a Georgian. It is the Georgian scheme that you're looking at in the colonial period. It's a Georgian scheme because the Georgian period sort of spanned the four Georges that sat on the thrones and about 400 years. So it's quite an expansive period. And whereas Queen Victoria, the Victorian period, just spanned for about 100 years because that's when she was on the thrones. That's the Victorian period. So the Georgian period, there were numerous King Georges, and that's where that came from. And so they evolved. So they started, you know, quite packed, and they got more lighter and lighter as we got through the different periods of the Georgian periods. So they evolved quite a bit. So I would say for you to really have in mind that light is very important in your scheme. If you don't have a lot of light flooding into your hallway, if you can't get skylight, maybe a skylight put in, or you don't have windows like this, then really do focus on the lighting. There's, like I said, this is beautiful pendant lighting. It doesn't have to be one light. Maybe you can put more than one pendant lighting in. So maybe that works if your hallway is quite dark. And as you can see in the background here, we have got, we've got wall lights. They work beautifully. So if you can go with wall lights, the more the better, to really help to create atmosphere and to really enhance your scheme. So it doesn't matter whether it's a dark day or a light day or lots of daylight or not, or no light at all. Even I don't know what your hallway looks like, but the lighting will make all the difference. So please think very carefully about your lighting. Don't skimp on the lighting. I say, if one thing don't skimp on the lighting, because it creates atmosphere and drama and a bit of theatre. Let's face it, if you've gone for this hallway, I think you love theatre, you love drama, you love history, and just creating a huge impression. Most people will never get beyond your hallway. Most people that come to your front door, if that's the only impression they have of you, let's make it a great impression. So this would be absolutely fantastic and such a great impact, and make you feel amazing every time you step into your hallway, every time you pass through, because that's the space that you pass through to go to every other room in your house. Every room in your house, if you're going from the living room to the kitchen, you generally pass through the hallway. If you're going from the living room to the bathroom, to your bedrooms, to the basement, to the attic, whichever room, you pass through your hallway. So this room, I'd say it's worth investing in it, because it's going to be used so much, passed through so many times, and at times people will stop and talk, or even if you have the luxury of this space, to be able to have a baby grand in there. Absolutely fantastic. So I would say that's really, really important to understand what your style is about and how you can reflect it. Now, if you decide to put this style in your other rooms as well, you can do it. I mean, it's you can, I would say, punctuate each room with an additional color. Can you see in this room here, I've punctuated with a little bit of blue. So there's a little bit of blue on the cushion there, you know. So I have that blue punctuations. You can't see the, I've got some table lamps, and they have blue shade. So there's little punctuations. So if you have this predominantly black and white scheme, you can punctuate. This is punctuated with the sort of antique brass or the gold sort of element. So it's punctuated with these sort of jewel tones in this scheme, and that works beautifully to be able to punctuate it with that sort of element as well. I would say definitely go for that. Please, if you can, get somebody to lay your floor. If you can do a great job, please do a great job. It's so dramatic. Imagine if that floor wasn't there. That scheme would still look great, but it wouldn't look quite as dramatic. Take your time. If you're going to do it yourself, take your time. This is a highly polished floor. I would recommend keeping it highly polished. I would say in this scheme, because it makes it so reflective, rather than having a matte or even a satin finish to your tiles, I'd say if you can go highly polished in this area, it will speak volumes. You will love it. The transformation will be so wonderful. Now, I truly believe that all interiors have the ability to change your story and to change your life. I've been working with interiors for at least 20 years, well, more than that, really. And I have seen people's lives change and transform over the years through changing their lifestyles, just one room at a time. And if you decide to choose to change this one element, this will transform your life in a way that I can only imagine. This would be something that would have a lasting impact, not just on yourself, because every time you step into your home, you'll be greeted by this wonderful piece. We're in the case of the Dubois family. They are greeted by this every time they go to their beautiful villa. It's enhanced by this beautiful welcome space for them, you know, so this is fantastic. I would say if after you've printed it off, I mean, I will let you have a quick look at the product keys. Now, the product keys, this is just first of all, that's a photo analysis. The photo analysis that just analyzes the photograph. It just tells you a little bit of background story of how this family would use that space, basically. So how this family relates to this space. So that's what that's about, really, because you would always have this video to be able to, for me to tell you how to interpret the space. So it tells you an interpretation of the family, Dubois family's interpretation of their space. The keys are, there's a UK key because I'm in the UK, and there's also a US key as well. And the reason I've done a UK and a US key is because the products in the UK and the US are different because we have different suppliers. But what I've done is to make sure that the suppliers I've chosen for the UK and the US, that the products are as similar as possible. They are not exact replicas. In some cases they are exact, but they are not exact. But they still adhere to the style genre, so they still produce the same wonderful outcome and the wonderful look for you. So you will still get an amazing result. So don't worry that the UK key, you might look at the UK key, you think, oh, their products are different than the one I've got here in the US, or vice versa. Don't worry. The products still produce a beautiful outcome, and so you don't need to worry at all about that. So that, I want to put your mind at ease there. Outcome will be fantastic. There are definitely the choices that I've chosen that I think will work best for the suppliers that you have available in the for the US and also for the UK. Now, if you're outside of the US or the UK, I'm sure that between those two keys, you'll probably be able to find something in your country that would equate to what I have suggested. If you go onto the websites for each key, to be able to see what you have in your country, be you in France or Germany or the Netherlands or South America, wherever you are looking at this, I'm sure you'll be able to find something that you can relate to between the UK, which represents Europe as a whole, and the US that represents probably most of the Americas, really. So to be able to go with that. So don't worry about that. So going forward from here, just for you to be able to understand that this process will take you, I'd say, a couple of weeks for you to get all your supplies together. So give yourself a couple of weeks, and then it will take you probably, depending on if you're doing it yourself, anything from possibly 6 weeks to put the scheme together. It could take you 2 months if you're doing it completely yourself, but give yourself that time. Or it could take you, it could be as quick as just 2 weeks. So it could be 2 months or 2 weeks. 2 months means the trade comes in and they do it all yourself, do it for you. And so that's just 2 weeks. So if you get everything together, get it there, bring the trade in, 2 weeks, within that, they've done it. And you will end up with a space that's absolutely a dream. A dream. There's no way that your story and your life will not change if you decide to go with this as your space, for your space. I can't imagine anybody's life not changing if this is your hallway. As I say, you can pare it down if you have a smaller property. This is based on a 10-bedroom home, or you can pare it down to whatever degree works for you, or you can scale it up if you are in a much bigger accommodation. That's entirely up to you as well. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. It's been absolutely wonderful just introducing you to this scheme. I'm really excited just to get to the next video and to be able to tell you all about how we go about putting this scheme together. Thank you for joining me for this introduction. Look forward to talking to you in the next video. Thank you.